All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is April 14th, 2018. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of this morning's webinar is Scalping versus Trend Trading. And as everyone knows, it's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now you should be able to see the screen with the disclaimer on it, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll change to a chart. All right, and I'm going to ask a simple question here. This is a blank chart, okay? I think anybody can see that unless you think you're going blind or something like that, which you're not. What's the trend on this chart? Anybody? It should be pretty simple to see, right? Can't tell yet? Actually, you can tell. You actually can tell. It's up. It's all black. You can't see anything, but what have we got here in this corner? Right here. See that little meter right there? That's telling you that the trend is up on what we call Lightning 3. Now, if y'all need me to change this at all, I'll change this instead of power meter to Lightning 1, Lightning 2, Lightning 3, and Lightning 4. You know, if that's confusing in any way, shape, or form. Because what I like to look at personally is I put an eye on the chart every single day to see what it's actually doing. And if you do this, you're going to find yourself on the right side of the trade more than you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of the trade. Because what happens usually is somebody's looking, say, to get in, you know, for instance, they wait, and they think, wow, this is finally going my direction. And then what does the market do? They flip it around and go the other direction again. And the reason they do that is because of this right here. They're actually checking that trend. Okay? That's your overall trend on your chart. If that gets broken, then you are looking for those retraces and, you know, going the opposite direction. Now, does this mean that we cannot use these meters here to scalp? And the answer is you can still scalp against the trend. But when you scalp against the trend, keep in mind that you're really only wanting to go for, you know, 5, 7, 8 ticks, something like that. You know, you might even be able to get 10. But keep in mind that scalping is scalping. You just want to get some dollars. Okay, and you want to make as many wise decisions as you possibly can. Okay, now that was a little bit of a trick question, but everybody see that with this little meter right here, you can actually tell. You know, this is a real chart. This is timed on at about 1:32 in the morning, so I don't really trade at 1:32 in the morning, but this was actually, you know, just after midnight my time on Friday. Okay, so what you're looking at all times is, of course, what is the trend actually doing and how do I want to trade this? And it's really important because, you know, if you just box in at mid-band and take, you know, a quick trade, then take it for a scalp, except like at the open, to give an example. Okay, but most times you're trading with the trend. Okay, and remember what we talked about, lightning identified swings. Is anybody not familiar with lightning identified swings at all? Because if you're not, I'll take a few minutes and go over it, because identified swings are extremely important. Okay, John says he's not, so I'm going to go on with that. The reason there's a black screen, Robert S., on your question is because I'm showing people this is a real chart, but this is actually a power meter that we use that will tell us what the trend is. okay, without actually drawing the lightning swings. But let me take a few minutes and show you what I'm talking about what identified lightning is. Because lightning is actually just the uh, minor swings, your medium swings, and your secondary swings. Okay. Now here on this chart, I've got a little lightning setup here. You have power meter 1, which is lightning 1. You have power meter 2, which is lightning 2. You have power meter 3, which is lightning 3. And I don't even have lightning 4 on this particular chart. Okay. But it is extremely important to know where your identified swing is. Okay. Because if you're going to scalp, to give an example, you're going to want to know where it's going to bounce. Okay. Because if you go against the trend, you're going to just simply, scalp for, X number of ticks, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. With 3 contracts, to give an example, 8 ticks would be $120 on like Russell. Okay. So you could easily scalp that and even go against the true trend by simply just going with like lightning 1 or lightning 2. Okay. Now, John, on your question just a second ago, you understand swings and directions, just not our terminology. Well, the reason we call this lightning and have for a long, long time is because it just actually looks like lightning. It's actually swings, it's zigzags, but it's actually, we just kind of, the terminology, we call it lightning because we go by what's called identified swings. And as long as identified swings are heading in a certain direction, you're going to want to be real careful going against that trend. Okay, like I said, we can scalp it, and I'm going to show you how to do some scalping today with Object Trader and even make a template for a scalper. Okay, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to scalp and have like a 15 tick stop and 10, 15, 20, and 30 on your profit targets because you're going to have to move them really quickly. You can make a template on Object Trader that'll actually do scalping and just call it scalper. We'll make one today. I've got one on my trading chart, but that's on a separate computer. Okay, but when I'm talking about your identified lightning, and this needs to be gone over for just a couple of minutes or so because, it's terminology that we use each and every day in our room, and it's going to be important for a person to know this, okay? Now, when you look at any chart, I don't care if you're looking at this trend, or this trend, there are identified swings on this chart, okay? Let's just go with lightning 2 first off, okay? Let's start down here. Let's just say we start at the 0 line, so to speak. When did this swing become the low swing? Well, it only became the low swing when it took that out, okay? And it has to take it out with a good closed bar, okay? Once it does that, that's an identified swing, okay? The same thing here, when was this swing identified? When it took this out. Now, that's really basic type stuff, but it'll keep you where you'll know where to keep your stops for these long runs. Because to give an example, gold, I called a trade on gold yesterday. We didn't feel any heat, and I'll guarantee you, most of you got 80 ticks on that gold trade that I called. You couldn't do it if you just, got in and out, in and out, in and out. And keep in mind, when you buy something, down here, for instance, okay, and you ride it all the way up, isn't that actually even better than, taking it out, jumping back in? Well, what if you jumped in, here, for instance, and then this just decided to pull all the way back to here instead? Okay, so isn't it better to actually have that price in there the entire time if you can? And you can do that with identified lightning. Okay, because as long as these swings are heading up on identified lightning, you can stay with that trade because more than likely it would do this, it would do this, it would do this, it would do this, and you'd keep identifying your lightning and you'd put your stops in accordingly. Okay, because you don't know if this thing's going to go totally to the moon, but if it does break these little micro swings, to give an example, and you see a good swing that you can get down to, you can scalp them. Okay, let me show you on an actual chart. Uh, John, on your question, you understand it's basically when it breaks the previous swing to the left, but it has to do it with a closed bar. Because how many times have you seen it where it wicks it and then they'll come and take it out? I'll show you some examples of that, as a matter of fact. Okay. Let me just go to an actual chart and show you. Because if you're going to trend trade and really, go with a good trend, lightning is going to be your key. Just never heard of lightning. Yeah, we actually identified this little script as lightning simply because it looked like lightning on a chart, and that's what we named it. Could we have called it swings? Sure. Let's see, how many ticks above or below swings do you put your stops? Robert, I'll show you on actual chart, okay? Let me go to an actual chart. Now, with just what I taught just now, though, I want to go over a couple of things. Let's get rid of this chart here. And I'm going to ask you the same question on 2 more charts. Okay? Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to take some swings off. And I'm going to ask you on these 2 charts right here, what is the direction of the trend? Again, sure, it's up, right? Okay? But look what actually tells you that really quickly. See that? See these are those lightning swings. This is lightning 3 and 4, and you simply draw it by using your control key for lightning 3. Hopefully I can draw it. There we go. Okay, and you draw it over here. Let's see if I can draw it right. Yeah, like that. Okay, now that's the definition of an uptrend, right? When was this swing established right here? When was this swing established right across here by what I just taught? Because this is extremely important stuff, because too many people get on the wrong side of the trade and then they end up giving some, and then pretty soon you're down $300 or $400 when you should be up $300 or $400. Okay, so on this chart right here, when it took this out right here, and probably basically right around this area here, somewhere around 4 ticks above it, that pretty much identified that swing. Okay, and when it does another bar, that's for sure identifying that swing. This is now your established low that they cannot take out and continue to head up. It's just not possible for them to do so. Okay, because if they do so, what are they doing? They're actually changing the direction of the trend, right? Okay, now what about this chart right here? I don't know why that went away. Let me fix it again. Bear with me. Okay, now what about this chart right here, to give an example? I see a high, a low, and a higher high. This is my identified swing. Okay, is this identified yet? And the answer is no, because we don't have it going above this. If it did this, it would be identified. If it was above that, it would be identified, right? So when you're trading, let me see, I don't want that navy blue. We'll do it in white, just real quick. All right, now that would be identified if it took this out, right? But your identified swing right this very moment is right down here. Okay, now this is going to teach you a lot about trend trading, because let me ask a quick question, just really quick. How many of you that are even good traders stay with the trend for 80 ticks? Anybody? Or do you get in and out and then sometimes make a mistake and give some of it back? Because if you'll learn this simple concept right here, you can stay in a trade as long as the trade stays with you. Dan, on your question, yeah, power meter 4 is backspace click. Power meter 3 is control click. Power meter 2 is your shift, your control shift click, and then your alt is your other one. Okay? Now, so if you were looking at an actual chart, and by the way, this is an actual chart. This is my little webinar charts that I teach all the time. Okay? So if you were looking to get in this trade, wouldn't you be looking for even somewhere down in here for it to bounce? Or if this was to do an ABC, we don't know if it's going to yet, but it might. But for this to actually change trends, this has to actually break this and come back and kiss it. And I go over this a lot in webinars and everything, but you'll find that if you'll live by this particular concept, that you're going to make, good money in your trading without learning a lot about stochastics and RSI and ADX, Rs, and you name it, and this and that, and every kind of indicator that somebody's come up with on their own even. And there's some good indicators out there, don't get me wrong on that. But if you will learn to read price action, it'll make a world of difference in your trading. Okay, now let's look at the actual charts and let's see if we can tell what we want to do next. Okay, bear with me a second and I'll turn this. First, before I do this, does anybody have any questions on identified lightning and trend at all? Because we're here to teach. Let's see, you're showing power meter 3, control click on your screen, right? Yes. Yeah, now the fourth one is not as important to me, simply because the fourth one is a 12 range chart with 5 swing strength, which can be as much as 35 to 60 ticks. That's a real move. Okay, we put that on there just to get the overall idea of what the market could do if they flipped on a dime, so to speak. Okay, but your most important one is right here. I'm going to just put a little arrow up to this one. See if it's my arrow line. Right there is your most important one. Okay, because as long as that trend is up, you're going to want to be real careful shorting, unless you literally, this is going to make some little bitty bars and you're going to have little lightning in it also. And could you actually scalp it, for instance, with a little break of lightning? And the answer is yes, because you could get down to here, possibly to here, maybe even to here. You see what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with using this little trend up here or even boxes for scalping. But I can tell you this, that more than likely you'll lower your wins versus losses ratio somewhere around the 75%, because you're going to miss some that are going to barely come out of that box and then they're just going to shoot up. Okay, sorry about that. See this little box right here? Basically what I was talking about was if you were going to short something like, let's say that a bunch of bars consolidate in here, okay, and you wanted to short this, the answer is you can do that, but that's called scalping. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about today also. But I want everybody to get this overall idea of identified lightning, because it will make a world of difference in your trading. Because it's kind of like this, would you go against the overall thing if it was going to hurt you? To give an example, let's say that you were in a crowd of people that were just literally running one direction and they're just totally across the entire road and everything, so you decide to run the other way. They'd run over you, right? So what you want to do is you want to go with the crowd. Now the pointer is right here. You should be able to see it now, Jim. Okay. All right, let's go to those charts real quick. I want to show you some things here. And let's ask some questions. Bear with me a second. Okay, just by what we talked about, looking at identified swings, let's go ahead and draw them on here. 4-range charts get kind of noisy, so that took some of the noise out of the chart, didn't it? Let me see if I can get this on here. Okay, so let me ask you a quick question on here. Where is the identified swing on the left on this chart? And if you get it, believe me, then you're getting to where you're seeing trend changes. Anybody see it? Where's the identified swing on the left side of the chart? The identified swing on the left side now, not the right side. This is the right side right over here of the chart. Right and left hand. Okay. Now let's look at this just real quick. You want to go back to the actual chart again so you can see it? Because without all this pricing on here, it might make more sense. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let's go ahead and go to a full screen. Okay. By what I just talked about, when it broke this low, where's the identified swing? It's right here. Everybody see that? So then it comes forcing down. Okay. So now over on this side, you've got a high, you've got a higher low, you've got a higher high, but has it taken out that swing yet? That swing right there. So until it does, this is still pretty much a downtrend, right? So you could short these predictors. You could short this predictor. You could short this predictor, right? But what if it takes that out? Even this little bit right here. Okay, now you have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high that even took out the left side of the chart, right? And notice that our trend changed also. Now, of course, you know, the way we teach trading and everything, you could have easily gotten this trade by boxing it in here, boxing it in here, you know, but I just started this at like, 1 o'clock in the morning. So this is hindsight now. You know, this is what we see here, but this is what we see on the right-hand side of the chart. So let me ask a quick question on this. By looking at the chart, by looking at the power meter, what is the trade we're looking for on this chart? Just ignore all of this now that we've finally changed trends. Just ignore all this. It just doesn't matter. Okay, you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low only when it took out this top with a good closed bar or two even. Okay, so this is your identified swing right here, right there. All right, so the question would be, what type of a trade are you looking for on a retrace? Pull back to mid-band. Okay, anybody else? How about like even a phantom trade to give an example? Bar close or box long. Now, one thing I want to show y'all here real quick too. When you look at a phantom trade, okay, don't just take it like it's a falling knife, okay? Because to give an example, looking at this chart, this has been a downtrend for quite a while. It finally broke the left-hand side of it by taking this out right here. Notice that our background's green and everything. We had a nice trade here, but we're also looking for another nice trade here. Okay, a phantom trade, James, on your question, I'm going to show you exactly what that is in several places. Some people, a phantom trade makes them nervous because, it's like the trend's trying to change. Okay, I see it as an opportunity for some really, really good trades. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right. To give an example right over here, well, let's just start over here. You went from a downtrend to an uptrend, and this is called a phantom trade right here. Anything that comes close to line 2 and between line 2 and line 1. Now, so that you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, line 2, line 1, and all that is, this dynamic trend that we have here starts with line 0. Okay? Let me change this color again. When I've got black charts, I have to have lighter colors, and obviously we don't want lighter colors now. Okay, that's line 0. This is line 1. Okay, and this is line 2. The shadowy area we call the money band is line 3. The middle of the shadowed area is the mid band, and it's a nice pronounced mid band that's going through this. Okay, so to make this a little bit shorter, you have line 0, line 1, line 2, 3, 4, which is the mid band, 5, which is the little shadowed, what we call the money band. See here, so you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I can get that to draw. And then 7, and then 8. Okay, so when you hear us say phantom, to give an example, okay, when I say that I'm looking for a long phantom, all right, I'm looking for a change from short to long, which means that my midband has changed colors, and this is a phantom trade. You usually want to take some coin at midband, but that's usually a very good 12-tick trade or better. See, each one of these little bands is 6 ticks. Okay, so when you get a phantom trade and you box it in and you get in, that's a good 10-tick trade. There's another good 10-tick trade. That's a phantom trade. We usually look to take the first one after a trend change, which would be this one right here. Now, this one over here, notice that you went to a midband that's short. Pardon me, I had to cough. This came really close to line 6, which is your phantom trade on the downside. So in other words, what you're looking for is a thrust pullback into phantom for the long type, and you're looking for, the thrust change backgrounds, change midband, and phantom type trade for the short. Okay, and on these like this, when you got this sideways and everything, scalp this. Because, when you look to the left and you see that there's swing here and there's swing here, you're only going to literally be scalping this in here, 10 ticks or so, 10 ticks or so. Okay, I wouldn't have taken this phantom because the background turned red. This one, you're looking for this phantom. Everybody see that? You're looking for this phantom. If they ratchet down, you're looking for that phantom right there. That's actually, you're looking between line 6 and line 7 on the short phantom, and you're looking between line 2 and line 1, or close to line 2 on the long phantom. Wait for, what was that now, Mindy? Wait for PM? Well, your PM would definitely be red on this. There wouldn't be any question about that. Because let's say, for instance, I even started here. You got a thrust down, little retrace, thrust down. So that would turn red. Okay, like over here, it was heading up, heading up, heading up. Started heading down when it got a lower high, and it took this little line out right here. So you could even use the PM trade on Object Trader. Let's see, does the price have to get into the proper lines for the phantom, or is it real close? Okay, real close is also okay. The main thing is that you basically box it in with a 1, 2, 3 reversal. Okay, and when I'm talking about 1, 2, 3 reversal, let me show you what we're talking about here. Before I go on though, does everybody understand what this is? The dynamic trend is basically telling you which side of the trade you really want to be looking at taking trades on. Okay, because when our backgrounds are red and this midband is magenta or red, you're really not looking to take longs. You're looking to take these, thrust down, wait for the retrace, take the rollover, take the rollover. Okay, that's what you're looking at. All right, let's get rid of this. Everybody does understand that so far, right? Because I get asked about phantoms all the time, and I think a lot of people just misunderstand what a phantom is. Okay, because a phantom trade, well, just to give you an example here real quick, what if you were one of these that boxed in and said, you know what, if this takes out this midband, I'm just going to go ahead and go a long trade, for instance. Let's just say that, if it busted above midband, you're taking a long. Well, it did it on that bar. See that close above? So you're feeling heat. Now you're feeling a little bit better. Now you're feeling heat again. See what I mean? So don't necessarily just take those little breaks like that. When you've got a red background, you're looking for lightning to change directions. This would have been a good one here, probably 10 ticks or so. And most of the time also look for those ABCs, where they go A, B, C, box it in. You can get little trades and stuff. Okay. But these phantom trades to me are some of the better ones because they go deeper. And the way we used to teach this little trade was you wait for a blue bar to go up and a blue bar to go down, and you fire a market order for a short. Okay. The way we teach it nowadays with Object Trader is more like this. We actually wait for this bar to break that third bar, and it broke it on that bar right there. If you had Object Trader set. See, because you're looking for an up bar, a down bar, you box it in. You get in the little trade there. Okay. That's a phantom trade. And by the way, these phantom trades work out quite decently, because if you think about gold, to give an example, if you shorted here on gold and rode the lightning down, lightning down, lightning down, higher low, takes it out right there, you're out. You got a nice trade. Okay. You don't have to wait to go all the way to mid-band. Okay. Keep in mind, though, that if you do this type, you're going to miss some of these really long runs like we got on gold Friday morning, okay? Because where was identified swing on this chart? Let me just show you how you can really stay in this trade. Let's say you shorted it up here, and where's your identified swing on this chart? Anybody? We've got a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, same low, so this one doesn't count, right? So we have a high, we have a low, we have a higher high, and we finally broke with a closed bar. That's your swing right there at the time, right? At the time. All right. Then over here on the left, you have a low, a high, a higher low. See there? So you get out of the trade right in through there. But that was actually a little bit of a fake, because this is your identified swing on the left. This is your identified swing on the right. And you could simply get back in this trade and have gotten that move again, because they will fake you out of some trades. There's not a question about it. Now, if you use mid-band, keep in mind on gold, when you're all the way down at phantom and you go all the way back to mid-band, you're giving up 24 ticks to get to that mid-band for that rollover. So let's say that you're up so nicely right here, and instead of getting out on lightning, you go ahead and hold it to mid-band. It didn't go to mid-band, but if it had, that's $240 of your coin gone. And of course, then it gave you a whole bunch more. Okay. But one way around this is using what we call identified swings. And you could have literally put your stop all the way up here, and that's pretty much at mid-band. See there? And you never got taken out. Okay. But you can take it out, and if they fake you, just jump back in. Okay. Now let's look back over here again. Everybody understand what a phantom is now? Everybody understand what a phantom is? I think so. Okay. I heard in one webinar where some people don't like phantoms. I think it's because they don't know how to do them. Because you don't, the whole thing is, this is not a phantom to buy here, to give an example. See this mid-band right here? I mean, could you box this in and buy this? Sure, that would be scalping. But isn't the actual trade on phantom up here? Rollover? Then it ratchets down. Phantom is here, rollover. Phantom is here, rollover. Phantom is even here, rollover. You see what I'm getting at? And you can get some good trades. Now, where's your identified swing over here on the left? I like to always look. My secondary swing is here. Why want that? Every time I click that. All right, there's my identified swing. And there's another identified swing right here. See how that kind of just hit that and rolled over a little bit right there? But now look at it actually breaching it. Okay, so you've always got to look at that. Then now we're actually looking at phantom type trade. Right down in here, that one did not work. That was first time after phantom, after a trend change, and that one did not work. But it also did not get you in if you boxed it in. Okay. Now, if you boxed it in with like a little 1, 2, 3 reversal, it did get you in, to be fair on that. Okay. There's a little mid-band type trade. We teach that trade all the time. That's a monster nice trade. Okay. Let's go ahead and go over to where we're here now. So by what I just said, what are we looking for? Because we talked about it already. Let me see if I can get rid of that lightning there and lightning 2. All right, lightning 2's gone. So drawing on your chart, we can clearly see, and by the way, these numbers is what will tell you this. See this low, these double numbers right here? That's actually looking at a 12 range chart and a 4 range chart. This is looking only at the 4 range chart. See that green number? Now when you get the navy blue and the white ones, that's your lightning 4. That's looking at a 12 range chart with a 5 swing strength, which can be literally as much as 60 ticks. Okay? Usually it's going to be 40 to 60, something like that. Okay? So over here, you've got a thrust up, a retrace, and a thrust up. If you drew your lightning 3 on this chart, whether you did it with the indicator itself or draw this in your own mind if you have to, until you learn it. But, use the tools also. But you should be able to clearly see this type of thing on your chart. What type of trade are you looking for here? You're looking for a long trade, right? All right, so let's see if we can get something like this, just judging by what I've been teaching for the last 36 minutes. Okay, notice that your phantom on the bottom is heading up, so you're ratcheting up each time. It's stair-stepping up. This one, of course, is stair-stepping up over here too, right? Now, where's the phantom on the long chart? I just taught it a few minutes ago. Hope you get it. Where's the phantom on the long side? Anybody? Phantom is line right, exactly. It's line 1 to 2 or even close to 2. Okay? You want to make sure, and look to the left to trade the right too. You'll see like little swings. Sometimes they'll, hit their head like right here to give an example. See, this is a high, a low, and a higher high. So this is a little identified swing too, right? So, you could easily bounce here also. But when they take these out, they're usually trying to shoot for this one. Okay? So what we would do as traders would be to box it in or to wait for it to start stair-stepping back up. You want to see when it does that? I won't even turn on Object Trader. I just want you to see if you can pick it when it starts stair-stepping back up. Not yet. Wicked. See how they'll wick you? You tell me when it starts stair-stepping back up, and this will actually tell you where to get in the trade. Now, a word of caution, if this is going to break down, what does it got to do? It's got to take out this swing right here. Right? Why didn't that draw? If it's going to break down, it would have to take out this swing. You could short it if it did, okay? Or you can wait for a little thrust and a retrace. So it's going to either do this or it's going to do something like this. Okay? So that's what we're looking for. So you tell me when the trade happens. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit, so hopefully we can get it. Identified lightning. We'll watch for it. Now you're getting higher lows through here. If they actually closed above here, that might go ahead and signal it. We'll find out. Not yet, though. Now it's a little bit lower, right? Now this is more than likely where I'd probably just literally box this in and fire the trade. Okay, if it doesn't take this out. Now it can take it out a little bit because you're going to see that a lot of times, where you'll just barely take out a support level. I called that probably 4 times last week in the room, where everybody was short, and I drew a line and said it's going to bounce right here. And lo and behold, it did. Okay, so let's see. We'll do an aggressive type. I'd probably enter if it closed back above that line. Okay, because I'm still looking long so far. Now I do have a red background though, but they haven't taken out my support yet. Let's see which one of us is right. I'll do aggressive, and I'll also do conservative. If it breaks, we'll do the opposite direction. We'll find out. Broke a little bit. I'm in. Everybody see why I'm in? Right there, took resistance back out. Now I'd put my stop right here though. That's an aggressive trade. Will it work? We're going to find out here in just a second. It may take me out, and if it does, it does. Okay, but where's the conservative trade? Let's see if we can get a low, a high, and a higher low, and take out the high. This will change to green if it does. Let's see when that happens. Higher low. Everybody see that? Now, let me pause this for just a second. Could you then, with this little setup right here, where you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, this would actually be trying to change this to green if this actually closes above here. So could you actually box that in and see if you could take the trade? Let's watch and see. Now you got resistance right here also. So that's another little telltale sign. You know, I got in at this resistance because it went down below it and came back through it. Because my overall trend is still up. Everybody see that? Even though this changed to red, I'm not really carrying on that right now simply because my support line held. That's a wick on a larger chart. There's your little break, and there went green. Okay? Everybody see that? Now let's put Object Trader on here, and just for the fun of it, since that went green, and let's see if we can get a little trade. We'll go ahead and do, now since I would already be in, I'm going to go ahead and just do 2. And we'll just fire a market order. Now, does this mean that you couldn't have shorted? You know, for instance, you had this right through here where they pretty much broke that trend line and everything, see under those lows. Could you have shorted that? Yes. Because remember the rule of thumb is you have 4 trends on your chart. Okay, when they break these swings, they're heading down. Okay, on what we call the minor trend. But what they do is they'll break minor, they'll go down and check these secondary, like medium swings, and if they break medium, they'll go down and check a little bit larger swings. See, this is a pretty good size swing, you know, but is this actually a downtrend until they take this out? And the answer is no. You know, I don't even pay as much attention to this right here as I do to this right here. Okay, because I'm looking at a big thrust, a nice pullback, and a big thrust. That is a major swing right there. Okay, so, you know, could this have actually done what we said? Yes, it could have broken down, could have come back and kissed, and it could have broken down. Okay, and it may still. I mean, we're going to find out here. Let's see if we get a higher low. We're feeling a little bit of heat. Let's see, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. So we're still good. Everybody see that, right? If you can't see it, draw it. Alt. That's even on a 1-range chart. Oh, no, that's the shift. Sorry about that. Let's draw the other one. Alt key. There we go. That's your lightning 1. Is that what I just explained a little while ago? You have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low. When do we know this is a higher low? When it took out this swing. So if this low held, couldn't I put my stop right under there with like an exit on close, just in case they wick it? Okay, now we're looking at the minor trend now. We're looking at a low, we're looking at a high, higher low. We don't know it's a higher low until it takes out that swing. We don't know this is a higher low yet until when? It's got to take out this swing. Everybody see that? So isn't that a perfect spot to put my stop for right now? I mean, 8 ticks, it's going to still cost me 80 bucks. But isn't that a decent trade? Because, I didn't wake up at, 11 o'clock at night to trade, and I didn't wake up at midnight to trade. Let's just pretend that I woke up here where we were diagnosing this chart. So you got to trade what you see at the time. So I looked to the left. I saw my swing. They did take it out just barely. I'll bet you if you put this on an 8 range chart, that's a wick. And a 12 range chart, it's for sure a wick. Okay. So I'm comfortable with this particular trade right now. And let's see, I'd probably take off one right there, and I'd probably take off another one right in through there. Everybody see why? Now, if I had more on, I would take one off here. I'd take off one here. I'd take off one here, and I'd take off one here, and then go for gustos. But we're not going to just go nuts on like 5, 6 contracts or anything like that. We'll just ride this. Let's just see. I hope I get around to scalping, because if I don't, everybody's invited to Monday night's webinar, even that's here on our little look-see. And if I don't get a chance to really show you the scalping today, I want to show everybody how you can diagnose your charts and don't get fooled. Now, just like I said, could we have been short down to here? Yes, we could have. Okay, because we broke this trend line right here. And there's no question about that you could actually short that type of a break. I wouldn't short it right there. I would short it right there. See what I mean? Because that's your identified swing. High, low, higher, high. If it broke that, lightning's heading down on the minor trends. And then's when you're in scalp mode. Okay? Let's speed this up a little bit. I don't have any idea what they're going to do here, but we'll find out. Yep, good. Whoa. Everybody see that? Okay. Now, Friday, we had an area on gold that I called in the room live. Anybody remember where it was? And I'm going to fast forward it to that point, and let's do this first. Tell me where the next trade is on this chart. I'm going to just close this out, and I want y'all to tell me where the next trade is on this chart. I'm going to fast forward it, and we'll see if anybody can figure this out. I got it going about 200 times. Anybody yet? Well, you missed out on some really, really good trades. I'll stop that right there. Does anybody see where some trades set up just a little bit ago on that? Absolutely, right? Stealth is a really, really good one for that. You're absolutely right on that. Absolutely right on that. Now, let me ask a quick question on here. If you were looking at this chart, yeah, let me show that. Matter of fact, somebody caught that. That was really good. They don't always, come down right where you think they will. To give an example, to me, that came down and tested that lightning. So could you have boxed that in there? Yes, and you could have even taken stealth. That's correct. Okay. Now, looking at this chart right here, does anybody see where if this was to decide to pull down into like support where you might be boxing in a trade? And always diagnose your chart. You've got to know where the trend is, okay? The trend that I see on this chart right now is I see identified swing right here. All right. Now, if they take that out in any way, shape, or form, they're not heading up, okay? Because you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. That's definitely established. That's your identified swing. All right. But it is still heading up at the time. Let's just fast forward this and see if I'm right on this. I wasn't up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but let's just see here. Starting to get a little lower highs. Okay, now notice they're trying to take out this swing right across here. They bounced off of it, so if you were long on this, I would probably be staying with this trade. But if they broke this right here, this is your high, your low, your lower high, and a lower low. So technically, you'd even been out here. That's a little early to me on a real runner. But definitely, if they take this out, trust, retrace, you're starting to get lower highs. Let's see what they do. And let's draw our line right here too. See what they do. Okay, they're breaking down. We'll look at that. Notice how it did exactly what I said it would do. That's your identified swing on the left. Is this actually now a short trend? And the answer is yes. Matter of fact, let's just fire simply because I missed it a little bit, but it broke my identified swing. Now that's an aggressive trade if they just break it, okay? But you really want it to actually come back and kiss is what would even be better, okay? But they don't always do that either. Sometimes, news events or something like that, you might just have to short it. Let's see if it works. Now, why did whoa, look at that thing. Well, that was something. Okay. If you look to the left to trade the right, does everybody notice that that's your lightning on there? When you look at this right here, to give an example, wouldn't this be lightning right here on this particular diagram? So you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. Now, we don't know at the time if they've also done anything else. Like, let's say, for instance, this had done this, and it did this, and it did this, and it did this. Wouldn't this be where it would break down under these lows right here? So if I was to actually box something like this in, I could get a breakdown to here or even all the way to the bottom, right? Well, that's what you're looking at right here. They broke lightning swing that was an identified swing to the left, okay? That was just like what they did over here when they broke these swings and changed trends. Now, does this mean that you can actually take some of these breaks like this? Yes. But again, that goes back into the scalping part. Okay, let's see if we can get that trade I talked about. That was a monster on that little thing, wasn't it? Let's go ahead and kill all the lines and we'll get rid of lightning. Let's see if you can pick the next trade. Anybody? I'll bet you we can pick it. Let's draw on our chart. Let's see if we can pick it ahead of time. I'm going to draw on my chart. There's a swing. There's my mid band. Look to the left to trade the right. That's swing. That's down here. Okay, I'm going to draw on this. Usually when they've done this like this, let's see. Now, if they take this out right here, that means that they would have to actually honor, like mid-band to give an example. Let's see, was it a monster move that took less than, yeah, it was a monster that took less than a minute. Matter of fact, if you wouldn't have been short there, I doubt if you would have gotten any of that move at all. But let's say that you didn't get that move. Does everybody see the move that we're getting ready to get on this chart? Let's see if we get it. What's our favorite move after a thrust? Anybody? First time into mid-band after a trend change is your best trade. Okay? First time into phantom after a trend change is also your best trade. Aggressively, you could just simply box it in. We drew our lines on our chart, right? Okay, we've got mid-band. We've got this little swing across here to the left. See that one right there? Okay, here comes our mid-band trade right here. Now, what would you do right now? Anybody? There's one, there's two. I'm going. Okay, and I'm going to put my stop right here. And the reason for that is because that bar closed above mid-band. Okay, and you're going long because what's the direction of the mid-band? It's long. Okay, now, is this going to get up? Let's look to the left to trade the right. You got to swing right across here. And it's the same as here, so let's see if we can get up there. Let's fast forward this just a little bit. Now, if you were to box this in, the way you would do this is like this. Let me see if I can get this box drawn in time. Basically, you'd be looking for this little break here. If it breaks, see like that, it broke. Okay, that's your little 1, 2, 3 reversal. You'd have to put your stop underneath the swing, close of the bar. We'll try to go for fading the top just a little bit, and we'll go for a runner. Okay, now we're going to get out the exact same way if lightning goes the other direction. Okay. This didn't get us quite to my trade on Friday morning, but we'll get to it in a few minutes, I'm sure. Now, by the way, what you can actually do if you want to, when you're up pretty nicely, see how that PM is now green right here? I can actually turn this on to PM and simply take all three out if we get a lightning to the downside. Okay? Now, to get a lightning to the downside, now it would have to break that swing. And as a matter of fact, it'll still have to break that swing. And even though I've got two set, it doesn't matter. It'll just take out one. Now my lightning's actually right here. And I can just ride the gusto if I want to also. There you go, you just got flat. Notice how that double topped right there so far. See how lightning caught that? Now that's an aggressive out, by the way. Let's see if we can get another trade. Okay, we got a double top, so we've got support here, got resistance here. Anybody see a trade? See it taking that little swing out right there? Now, why did I do that? Because that's another mid-band trade, and it did break my little lightning swing. See it over here to the left? I was just watching it, and I just simply took the trade. And I'll turn on my lightning again, and we'll leave this one just doing its thing. It's green. If it goes red, it'll take it out. You're flat. Okay, and triple top now so far. There's another lightning swing. You can also use lightning to get in a trade. There you go, you just got in. See, lightning will actually do the trade for you if you want. Oh, look at that. All right, everybody see how to do that? Now notice that at first I was just reading lightning, manually. But can't you also just use our little tool that we've got that actually takes the trade? Right? And let's see if we can get out of this trade too. We'll use lightning. Well, we're already red on our lightning, so we probably would already be out of this trade. And I'd for sure get out. I do believe if they take out this support right here. If they bounce, we'll be okay. Fast forward a little bit and see. Still bounced there so far. Still bounced there so far. You're still okay. Now if it takes this out, you'll be flat for sure. Yeah, I'd definitely flatten it if it takes that out. There, you're out. Everybody see why? I even used the larger swing on the left. Okay? Now, is this actually, this is a little bit trickier on this one. I'm going to show you how to read this. See this high, this low, this higher high? How much higher is this one? Like 5 or 6 ticks? I don't consider this to be my swing. I consider this to be my swing. Everybody see why? High, low, much higher high, higher low, barely higher high. They'll usually break these a little bit and give you, what trade are we looking for here? Anybody? You remember the trade we were looking for here? Phantom trade or a deep bar probe, right? Lightning is red. Remember this trade on Friday? What'll it take to turn that green? Anybody? It's going to have to take this swing out. Because see, that's not a high and a higher low so far. This is actually still not your swing. This is right here. So I would probably already have bought, okay, because it took out this little swing because we boxed it in on Friday. And I would add to it if it took out that little swing right there. And that's exactly how I traded that on Friday. And I called this trade out live in the room on Friday. And we just simply rode the trade because it was at the open of oil. Where would our stop be? Right under here until you get a lightning swing. Now you got a lightning swing here. Everybody see that? And what did this trade end up doing? And we were able to get the trade and did a monster trade on gold. And I want to show you how to ride this trade for the absolute gusto on it, because we rode this trade for the gusto on it. Okay? Now, if you had like 4 contracts on, you want to be a little bit more careful. See, you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a lower high so far. Or is that the same? Nope, it's lower. See, they didn't take out lightning. See there? It didn't change. Isn't that amazing? Ride your lightning. Let me just draw lightning on it. I think I drew it on Friday. This is lightning 1. So in this respect, where would my stop be on this? Anybody? And by the way, we've got an app for that. Trend, Stealth, Lightning. Lightning swing. I can use my swing strength of 1. I can hit my little space bar to pull this little trail stop up. And there's my lightning 1 right there. Let's do lightning 2, see what it looks like. And hit space bar. And there would be my stop right down there. Everybody see that? So I can actually just simply trail this with my lightning swing. See it doing this? Now watch it as it actually goes up. Let's just fast forward this a little bit. Watch my lightning swings head up as this heads up. What's it got to do? See there? See how to actually trail this? See how that pops up automatically? Now, how could you write a trade any better than that? Now, granted, we wouldn't be having 4 on here by now. We'd probably turn on like a bar close and get rid of 2 of them for sure. You know, see, now you're down to 2. Everybody see what kind of tools we've actually built into Object Trader? That if you just learn how to really trade them, that you can do wonders with your account. And didn't this teach you really how to see trends? Now, we didn't get to go over a lot of the scalping today, unfortunately. Notice how that took me out. I'm long now so far, but it looks like it might get me. We got it on exit on close. Let's see if it gets us yet. Just let it ride. Got my stop in. How many ticks above or below swings do you put your stops? How many ticks above or below swings do you put your stops? How many? Oh, you're just writing this several times. Okay. It is absolutely recorded. Robert, on your question, just like I teach this right here, I put my stops accordingly. So if I was trading Lightning 2, let me just get you a clean one of these right here real quick. Okay, if I was trading Lightning 2, wouldn't my stop be right here? Right? Let me just get this back. Wouldn't my stop just be right here? And if I was trading Lightning 1, wouldn't my stop be here for primary and here for secondary? And that's secondary is usually on Lightning 1 is usually Lightning 2 or really close to it. They won't take out secondary swings if they're still heading up. Okay? So sometimes you can back them off a little bit like that. But keep in mind, we've got a little app that I was just using there that'll actually keep you in the trade. See how that's still in the trade so far? My lightning swing is right there with my stop. Let's just go ahead and fast forward this a little bit more. See if it finally takes us out or not. There you go, you're out. Everybody see that? Now let me ask you a quick question. If you were to trade this again, where's the trade on this chart? Anybody? Couldn't you use the power meter? Lightning 1. Get back in if it goes green. Let's see if it does. There you go, you're in. And we'll still use our lightning swings as our stop. We'll put our target up here. And then our stop goes with, let's see, that's not going with lightning swing, sorry. Well, we're out now. That's okay. If you change this back to targets over here, you've got to leave it on the lightning because my lightning was actually following that right there. It just wasn't moving this. That's when it took me out there. Everybody see that? Now, let me ask a quick question. How cool would this be to trade each and every day that you trade? Okay, let's look and let's diagnose it one more time real quick. I want to see if anybody can catch the next trade on this chart. Okay, and then we're going to wrap. Because if you can catch the next trade, you're going to be doing fine on Monday. Let's go ahead and take this off and lightning off. And I know I'm running a little bit late, but I think people are really starting to get this. Now you can clearly see you had a trade here, scalp, right? Is this a trade right here? Well, it's a little late because see, we've already hit predictor. There's predictor, there's predictor, there's predictor, there's predictor, there's predictor. Okay? So let's see, since we missed those, if we can get the next trade. Oh, and by the way, let's look to the left to trade the right. And let's draw our line on our chart. That's our medium identified swing, right? This is our medium identified swing. I'm not going to take a trade. Let's just see. Let's just see if this works. I got it on 500. Tell me if we get a short on this chart. We're not going to really go for the longs at all. I just want you to tell me if you get a short on this chart at all. There's a little trade there on predictor. By the way, you can turn that predictor on and actually take that trade. Is that a short? Is that a phantom? I'm going to just for the fun of it see if I can get something on that trade. It hit phantom. I got in way late, but because I'm running it 500 times, I'm going to put my stop down here for just a minute. Yep. Didn't have that turned off, so it, that's one thing I'm taking off of Object Trader is this where it stays engaged on that, because that would have been a good trade. That was a phantom trade. Does everybody see where I drew that line on that chart, why that was not a short trade? It did the exact same thing that it did earlier, didn't it? It just came down. When they break micro, they check the secondary swings. When they break secondary, they check medium. If they don't break these medium swings, this is not a downtrend. Okay? Real quick, let's look at one other thing and then I'm going to wrap. Let's look at, that's gold. So let's just look at gold. And we're going to look at it on the naked chart. The one that's just the black chart is all. No prices. So tell me, is that still an uptrend? It is, isn't it? So let's look and see. You had a high, you had a low, you had a higher high. So this was your swing that's identified, right? And look how they just barely took that out. See there? So a question would be, could you box that in and take that trade long? And the answer is yes. Because what would this take to change directions? It would take a break, a decent break, a pullback, and a rollover. And I can guarantee you this background would be red and everything else. So if this was to break this, definitely we could short it. Now you are getting a high, a little lower low and a lower high. So let's see what it does on Sunday night, because this could easily break down. When will you know if it breaks down? When it breaks this right here now. A decent break, James, on your question, on identified swings, you can pretty much take a chance of shorting them right away, but you got to be careful with that because they'll usually get 4 ticks or so and then they'll bounce. Okay? But if they do break them, see, even over here to the left, to give an example, this is technically starting to break down a little bit because they took out that low, just like they did on the other side when we were trading it earlier. Remember when they took out these highs and started getting raising it up? So could this break down on Sunday night? Yeah, because with that high, low, and lower high, if we get a lower low, but what if we actually come down here instead, like so, and then bounce, then no, we're going to just head up because that's support now. This is also support, but this is actually on the right-hand side of the chart is a high, a low, and a lower high. But we don't know this is a lower high until it holds this 1346.40. If it does hold that, then this could easily do this. Okay? But if it did do this, thrust down, retraced, this is going to be right around mid-band, more than likely, and then breaks down, then you would short it. See, this is your little swing right here. So if this was to thrust down below, pull back, more than likely this mid-band is going to actually be red by then and probably be down in this area if they break this. But right now, doesn't it look like we're just looking for longs? So if this was still a time of day that I was trading, I'd probably box this in because, you know, if it wasn't already past, you know, the time that the market closed, because you could get up here and possibly here, and you put your stop there. See, we don't just put a 15-tick stop. We look at lightning. And if you look at real-time lightning that's identified, you can pretty much protect yourself on your stops, especially if you use close bar. Okay? I know I ran this over a little bit. I apologize. Monday night, we're actually going to be talking about drawing on charts, Art 101. Did quite a bit of that today, but I'm going to go deeper on how to draw on your charts, and we will talk about a little bit more scalping. For instance, this is a range right here. So if I was to trade this, I'm not going to go for gustos. I'm going to try to get to here, and that's a scalp. You know, so more than likely, if I was to take this trade, I would simply put it on target of like 8, another target of 9, and maybe a target of 10. And then I'd turn that off and I'd turn that to 3, and that's what I'd be going for. And I'd probably put a really tight stop of, say, 8 ticks just in case, because I'm just scalping. And I could also use my little lightning swing, depends on where that gets in. Okay. But when you've got a range like this, you're not looking at a trend like this. You're looking at this is your range right here. So it's clearly identified that you're scalping in here. Okay. Because when they're range bound like this, that means they've already done their run. They're consolidating. So you're going to buy these predictors, get 10 ticks or so, wait for another predictor or little breakouts. And if you do get a breakout, you're just going to try to go up to these tops. Okay. And if they don't go any higher, now if they go through them and just keep on trucking, yeah, you can stay with the trade. But keep in mind, if you just scalp, you're going to hit all three of those targets pretty quick. Okay, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I tried to make it interesting, educational. And if you'll learn to see these type of swings on these charts in real time, it will make a world of difference in your trading. Don't go against the trend unless you're in scalp mode. Even set up an object trader for just a little scalp. You know, you can actually set a template and call it scalp. I'll go over that on Monday night. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Anybody have any final questions before I wrap? Oh, Paul, on your question from earlier, I apologize for missing that. Keep in mind that when I'm running this on like 20 or 30 times, I'm seeing things. And, you know, when I click that button on market like that, that was actually getting in a little bit later than we would have. Okay. If you're running in normal time, obviously it's easier. Okay. Yeah, this will be up in probably the next 20, 30 minutes. We'll see everybody on Monday, and thanks for coming. Sorry I ran it almost an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, David, give me about 6 or 7 minutes so I can get this started to convert and everything, and you're welcome to call me. Yeah, Kenneth, I was going to show a scalping strategy. I'll show it on Monday night instead. Okay, and it's real easy to make a template and everything. And I'll show that on, we could even show it in the room on Monday morning as far as that goes, or at the webinar. Okay. I'd planned on getting to scalping and trending, but I felt this was important for everybody to see. Because everybody knows for an absolute fact that this trade was called in real time in our room on Friday morning. This was boxed in and bought. Okay, because I called that trade live before Charles ever entered the room, before the market ever went to 8:30. We were already up 25 ticks or so by then, and it just moved, took you out right up here if you use lightning. Okay, thanks everybody for coming.